Hello, you remarkable people. It's Friday afternoon. Have you got that Friday feeling? Because I certainly have. And Friday is a brilliant time to grab a brew, sit back and listen to our conversation and hopefully learn something useful about your own school marketing and communications. Prospectuses have a purpose, and well, we would never suggest to a school that you just produce a prospectus for the sake of having one, but we are finding that schools are producing them because they're trying to do something with them. Do you know what I mean? So those schools, when we chat to them, that have a need to reach out to those local nurseries, or they're trying to improve relationships with their feeder schools, and so they need something tangible that can be left. You imagine a parent sort of inquiring to a nursery, and the nursery being able to hand over a prospectus to them. That's when they come into their own. But there needs to be a purpose to them.
And it feels, when that's handed over as well, it feels like when you receive it and it's a good quality produced brochure. It feels like that school takes care and pride in its appearance.
Perhaps one of the easiest things that a primary school can do is to perhaps step back and just put themselves in the position of a prospective parent and consider what that prospective parent, what's the experience that they're going through. So go onto your website as though you were a parent, and does it give you the sense of your school? Is it telling you all the wonderful things about your school? And how easy was it for that parent to inquire, to get some further information? How easy have you made that? Could that be improved? But then take a look at those competition schools, those schools that are perhaps taking some of your pupils, and how well are they doing it? Compare the two and just see, if you were a parent, which one would you be interacting with? Because that's a key area to help you focus on what things you're going to improve in the short term, and how you can make an improvement to that. Oh, by the way, just so as you know, Builder's tea again.
I've seen you drinking coffee. It's probably better that you're on Builder's tea.
It's a good point, well made. Coffee and I do not do well. In fact, the very idea that we've branded these whole conversations as a coffee break is quite offensive to me.
Yeah, sorry about that. Tea break, coffee break.
What were we talking about?
It was what are the most common mistakes that schools make on their school website?
Yes.
And you asked me for one of those mistakes, and I think again it's one of those that's brought up in the workshops that you run, Mark, and it's to have a website that is not considering the target audience of the website. And what I mean by that is the people who are going to be using the website. You see so many of them with very child-focused or child-centric imagery on their cartoon characters, autumn leaves falling down the page. And I think that's just not really appropriate. It's the parents, it's potential staff looking at the site, the local community. And I think that's just done to death. But I think, it's completely wrong for who's looking at a school website.
We've got the important things over. Justin, you were good enough to forward us on a school photograph. As you know, every guest that we have that comes on to Out of the Blue, we ask them for a school photograph. I think what's interesting is apparently your mum provided 5 and you still chose this one to send over to us. You're pretty brave.
Yeah, well, you should have seen the other 4, and it is embarrassing. Of course, it is. The thing is, I'll be absolutely honest, guys. I looked like that until I was about 25. Often I say, begin internally. So begin with your own staff and your own children. They are the best ambassadors in terms of promoting the school, of course, from a marketing perspective, but also in terms of sort of fundraising and generating income and encouraging people to get behind what you're doing. So, the first thing to do really is understand what you need and why, prioritize that. Then you can determine precisely how to fund those specific initiatives and put them in some sort of order. And that's where your plan can come in. And again, I provide all of this to schools anyway. I can provide templates and things. So that's not difficult to do. But begin with that message internally. So if you can encourage, the barriers come down when you build that momentum and you've got staff behind you and you've got the pupils behind you.
Okay, yeah, certainly. So yeah, SEO or search engine optimization it's the ongoing attention that a website needs to ensure that it's performing as best it can in the modern landscape. Many people think like having a website is enough, and it's out there, it's on the internet, and that's fine. Ultimately, there's so many changes, algorithm updates, and evolutions within the internet landscape from the search engines, that you always need to be on top of it, and making constant forward progress. In the most laymanistic way, I liken it to going to the gym. The more you go to the gym, the healthier you are, the fitter you are. If you stop going to the gym, you will get out of shape. Other people will become fitter than you. So that is a kind of likening it to a real world scenario, I guess. So there's three different aspects that we look at for SEO, search engine optimization, and this is how we view modern SEO at Dark Horse. So you've got the technical aspects, ensuring that the site is functioning correctly. Content is a key aspect. So this is where you'd see your kind of keywords, and keywords might be the one thing that people associate with SEO, but there is far more than that. And then we have digital PR, which is effectively the promotion of content and link building, in the most kind of the simplest terms.
We're doing a lot more hero shots, those very polished, high-end looking shots, clearly retouched, that give a real story to the image. I don't know if you're going to show a few examples because it's quite hard talking about it when I can't see it. But yeah, that's been a trend for quite a while in the independent sector. So that those really image-grabbing pictures, those wow images. So we've been doing that for a while, but they do take quite a long time to shoot. I mean, some of them can take up to an hour to shoot, and then there's a lot of post-production on them. So it's a lot more involved. And typically, I'd get a layout from an art director beforehand, so we know exactly what we're doing.
Right.
A lot of it's shot on white background, and then we shoot the background separately. That's all merged together. And picking the right students as well, picking those characters. So we might do a little casting beforehand.
And actually look at your admissions process.
Yeah.
Are there gaps in that admissions process? Because it's great having advertising and digital ads being run, retargeting and spending money to bring in potential new families. But if there's a gap in that admissions process, if they're not being followed up for 3 or 4 days or longer, or the tone of voice isn't particularly friendly when the phone's answered, or maybe it doesn't get answered, you have to leave a message. They're really simple fixes that don't cost anything, and actually for the money that you're then spending to attract that potential pupil, you're making a smoother, better process for them to go through, and less likely for them to fall out of the side.
Knowledge is power as well, because that tightening up that admissions process, when we've seen that within the school, all of a sudden they've got so much more knowledge about the parents that are looking at the school and making those decisions. So there's so many more opportunities. And again, it costs you nothing to send a friendly email or pick up the phone and just engage with those parents and get an answer from them and help them make that decision, really. And the question is, what is remarkable about your school? And that's the question we ask every school that we ever talk to. But on the masterclass,
it's quite hard for them to answer as well, isn't it?
It can be. Yeah. And we get lots of similar answers, and then sometimes we get some very, very different answers depending on who we're talking to. And I think depending on the knowledge the person's got of the school and the offering, etc.
Yeah. I remember the one head teacher. Sorry, I know you're going to ask the question, but I remember the one head teacher who'd written a single answer down on his sheet, And when you were going around asking each of them what is their remarkable, he just said, me.
He did.
I thought it was fantastic.
It is brilliant. And having spoken to him since, it was pretty much true as well.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, my frustration was always, I can go and visit a school and they have a brand. If you sit and chat with a head teacher, there's a very obvious brand and it's enthusiastic, and you actually sit and think, I'd send my child here. It's fantastic. But from the outside looking in and look at the website and look at their social media, I didn't learn any of that from it. There was none of that reflected in the way that they appeared and the way that they talked about themselves. And I think the reason I'm so excited about this product, and I think the reason why it's working for so many people, is we can very, very quickly get that together for them. We take that you've already got and that you already understand. We develop it and we challenge it a bit or a lot, depending on who we're chatting to, but we challenge it, we make sure it's right, and then we reflect it back and we show you all the different ways. So those visuals that we present, here's your brand and here's what it looks like online, and here's what it looks like printed on a promotional brochure, and here's what it looks like in an advert and in social media, and the schools don't have to think about all those things. They get that delivered back for, in such a quick time scale. It really sets them up for how they can move forward with everything.
Yes, absolutely. Talking about help, what do the people attending the masterclass, what do they get from it?
Everything that they've ever needed from a marketing point of view is resolved in an hour and a half of attending my masterclass.
I'm joining.
It's do you know what? It's very much designed as a way of reflecting on the effectiveness of your own marketing within your school. It's an opportunity really to take an hour and a half away and actually think about it. And a lot of responses I get from people when they talk about the masterclasses, that they've not even done that really. They've not had the opportunity to just stop and think, and to be able to have their own activity in the marketing that they're doing, whatever level that might be at, reflected back at them, and just having a constructive voice that they can listen to. So it gives people tools to assess the effectiveness of their own marketing and be very truthful and honest about it, and to then highlight some very key areas where there are easy to fix holes, for want of a better word. So people come away from the masterclass with some they've got the 3 steps that I taught them through, but there are also lots of little hints and tips that we go throughout the session that they can take away and should be able to rectify and fix in their own school if they recognize it. Most people do, because most people are making the same mistakes, to be fair. And they don't cost anything. They're kind of little free things that you can do that are reasonably easy to achieve, and some of them are very easy to achieve. But will actually have an effect. Will make a difference.
Thank you for watching Out of the Blue, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe and leave a comment below, and please ring the bell for notifications. I hope I will see you again soon. Bye!